My name is Vikas. I am the head of architecture for a firm called Design Qube in Chennai. So Design Qube is relatively a young firm, focused on all sorts of projects when it comes to different typologies and scales. Most of our projects have been residential oriented, be it architecture or interiors. Like any other client, they had simple requirements. They did have a design brief, but it was very simple when it comes to the spaces that's required. But there were a few strong elements that they wanted us to definitely bring out. One is 100% Vastu, and the second thing is they wanted us to bring about really big, spacious areas. So the site as such is placed is along the ECR. It's a little off the East Coast Road. It's a little bit of a parallelogram in profile. I have about 133 feet on the north and on the south, and 120 on the east and west. The good part about the site is it had a lot of openness right in the front. So the entire north facade would share a lot of open space. The west had a lot of open space. We had a property on the east, but it was a ground floor plus one structure, and further down along the northeast again we had another structure which was again a ground plus one. The west had a lot of built spaces, but it's just that all of them were larger plots with just ground plus one structures. The role of Vastu forced us to, or rather helped us to push the building towards the southern part of the site, which gave us a lot of openness along the east and the entrance part. We moved the building closer to the west, so we had minimum setback over here. So, and we also had a lot of thick vegetation to help cut the direct sunlight onto the west. Other requirements such as a servant's quarters, we pushed it towards the southeastern side, the electrical room and the staff quarters. Another strong requirement from the client's end was to actually house a swimming pool. So we located it along the eastern facade so that it could correlate with the house and the openness. So the plan basically can simply be explained with a 9 square grid, which has its strong principles from Vastu. In the center, we had a courtyard space. We had the access into the site from the north. So as you enter from the north, we have a huge foyer space, and the foyer gives you good glimpses of the courtyard. Once you enter the space, we positioned the living room along the west. We gave it a double height space. We had to accommodate few guest bedrooms, powder rooms, all that along the northwest quadrant. Along the northeast, we had to provide a room for a boutique for one of the family members and a home office. Along the southwest, we had the master bedroom. Along the southeast, we had the kitchen. And in between the master bedroom and the kitchen, we had room for services for within the house. So we had a laundry room. We had our utility room that could have direct access to the kitchen. The kitchen had a bit of an open space which was partially open to sky because the clients believed in growing their own vegetables, and they used this area to for drying of raw materials and things like that. So the eastern part of the house, where we had already housed a swimming pool and a lot of landscape area, gave us a lot of room for us to place a deck. So the deck acts as an extended dining. This sums up the ground floor in terms of spatial planning. Now, the question is, how do we commute to the first floor? So initially when we had discussed with the clients insisted on providing an elliptical staircase, which they felt would add a lot of grandeur to the house. I felt placing of the elliptical staircase over here would act as a hindrance in terms of circulation and in terms of connectivity from the living to the further end east of the property. So what I had proposed is, why not take the staircase towards one end of the living? Another concern was, would the staircase act as a self-independent space? Would it look like a small room which is going to cut off the living and the rest of the areas? So what I told the clients is we will treat the staircase in such a way that it acts as an element in the living room. So we went in for a metal fabricated staircase, and to avoid the crudeness, we had teak wooden boxing to help cover the metal works. We didn't want to settle in for a regular handrail, make it look like a service access, like a service area. So what we did is, instead we went for these thin tension cables that were suspended right from the mother slab, and it looked as an element in the living room by itself. So when the family has a large gathering, people can just spill over to the courtyard from the dining or connect to the living and dining via the courtyard. Staircase from the ground floor that's leading up. One bedroom here for my client's Suresh's sister, GV's room, and this being road facing, we gave her a nice L-profile deck, look onto the open garden space along the northeast. This area was something we were planning for a kid that would come in the future. So we were thinking, why not look at it something different? Why do we need to just have a horizontal platform where the kid has a study area or the sleeping area and things like that? So instead what we did is we split this level into two with a small ladder that would connect the kid to the above level. The above would be the sleeping area, and the lower would be the study. This probably would make it interesting for the kid as he grows up. Of course, the toilet goes right behind. As I interacted with the family along the design process, I got to understand that the family loves to read. It wasn't there in part of their requirements, but I understood they love to read. So what we did was place a library. Instead of wasting the space onto a corridor, we placed a library, and since being on the first floor, we had the flexibility to bring in a nice skylight, which would enable a lot of light, natural light coming through all through the day. Now, a person could always sit there, or a person could also step into this particular area where we had a landscaped terrace. The landscaped terrace in return overlooks the swimming pool. Apart from this, there was a requirement for a guest bedroom, so we pushed one right in the corner. We put a guest bedroom in the corner over here. Created a space which is almost close to 18 feet in height. The master bedroom also enjoyed a very lavish wardrobe cum toilet space, and we had also introduced a lift core for elderly people who would want to access the terrace if at all they had difficulties in climbing up, and we also introduced a staircase core right next to it for people to access the terrace space. Now all these areas had a walkway space where the connect was always down onto the courtyard or directly onto the double height living spaces. The requirements for the second floor is not much. We have the lift core and the staircase core. So there was requirement for a gym, so we located the gym east facing so they could have good views of the outdoor and the sea that is further away, and a home theater room along the other side of the staircase core. The rest of the area was all open terrace. The zone above the living gave us the room, a huge area to actually have a vegetable garden. Level by level, when you step up, the topmost slab gives you excellent views to the sea along the east, and we just added a small gazebo so the family members could always go up during the evening times and catch good views of the sea and the breeze.